Stop surviving and start creating. This is the backwards planning wake-up call. Are you busy but not fulfilled? You're productive, but you're constantly behind? That's a red flag. You want to listen to that. My name is Jocelyn Herman-Saccio, and I have been coaching people for 35 years. And if your days are feeling like a blur of doing with no real momentum towards what really matters to you, it's not that you're lazy or not committed. It's that you're in what I call the world of survival. And the world of survival is sneaky. It doesn't always look like chaos or scarcity. Sometimes it looks like being on top of all the things and always helping others, but never moving the needle on your actual vision. So, how do you break out of that kind of pattern? Well, one thing is you got to stop reacting and start designing. That's what I call being unmessable with. This is where backwards planning comes in. It's a process that I teach to all my clients, especially my high-performing entrepreneurs. And it's not just about productivity. It's a mindset shift that transforms you from being a manager of your present to a designer of your future. For 35 years, I have been helping high-achieving entrepreneurs break free from those reactive cycles that keep them busy but not fulfilled. And what I have discovered for myself is that entrepreneurs who feel the most trapped by their success, they're not planning wrong because they're lazy. They're planning wrong because they're starting from the wrong place. What are you talking about, Jocelyn? Well, when you plan backwards, you become the designer of your future, not just the manager of your present circumstances or resources. Your vision deserves a plan, and your future deserves a leader, and that leader is you. So let's talk about the survival mode trap and why success ultimately feels empty for many people. Now, I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. Survival doesn't always look like chaos or scarcity. Sometimes it looks like productivity and getting stuff done. I see this with 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs all the time. You know, they've built successful businesses, they're making great money, but they feel like spiritually empty. They're constantly behind, burnt out, overwhelmed. Despite being productive, they're managing their inbox and their mood and other people's drama, but they're not really creating and fulfilling on their vision in life. Vision is critical. And here's what's sneaky about survival mode. It masquerades as being responsible and busy, like I'm on top of things, I'm a results producer. And it feels like you're doing important work, but you're not really moving the needle on what actually matters to you, like in your heart matters, right? Research from the University of Iowa, Peking, and Korea reveals something fascinating about this pattern. When we are stuck in reactive survival mode, our brains literally can't see the bigger picture. We get trapped in what they call forward planning bias. We start from today and try and push forward, which keeps us stuck in the weeds of the immediate problems. I mean, if you think about this, it makes sense. So if you are, feeling busy but not fulfilled, productive but constantly behind, like you can never get it all done, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're just planning wrong. You're starting from today moving forward instead of starting from your fulfilled future and planning backwards. That's the key. So let's talk about the vision. The first revelation is to start from your future. So here is where everything actually alters. You don't start from today. You start from the future that is fulfilled. So you create a future that's fulfilled and then you work backwards. Let me give you an example that shows exactly how powerful this shift can be. One of my clients wanted to host a 100-person retreat, but she kept focusing on what she needed to do this week. And it felt overwhelming. It's like she had 0 people. Her to-do list were growing and growing and growing, endless. She was drowning in the details, like stuck in the weeds. But once we started, we took her out of it. We started from the date of the retreat and mapped the milestones backwards, everything became clear. Not only from what date to book the venue, to when to launch registration, to the weekly actions for promoting it. Suddenly, there was that feeling of overwhelm disappeared. And this isn't just strategy, it's leadership. Because when you design actions from the future, you stop being at the mercy of your current circumstances or your current thinking or your current resources. The research backs this up completely. The University of Iowa, there's an associate professor named William Hedgecock who explains that when you visualize the end point, things seem clearer and more positive. If you start in the present, you could, go this way or that way, and it becomes more negative and you have more self doubt. And this fundamentally changes how entrepreneurs approach goal setting. But you don't even have to be an entrepreneur to use this. This increases our anticipation of pleasure from, that's nice, anticipation of pleasure from achieving our goals. But here's what's the most important thing. The entrepreneurs miss this, okay? This approach only works when the goal is complex. You can't do it on a simple goal. You don't need backwards planning on a goal to like go to the dentist this week. But if you're building a business and creating a life vision and transforming your health or your relationships or your finances, these are complex, multi-step journey. And that's why it requires this kind of backwards methodology. So simple stuff, you don't need a backwards plan. The 5-step backwards planning framework I'm going to give you right now. So let me walk you through the exact framework that I use with all my clients, really. This is what transforms you from a reactive manager of things to a visionary leader. And, that's what's required to fulfill on your vision. So the first thing is you got to name your vision, and you have to make it specific and inspiring so that it actually connects with you. So it can't be something like, grow my business, or host 100-person retreat. It's got to be like transform lives through this retreat. It can't be run a marathon while I, avoid burnout. It's got to be something like fulfillment, vitality. It's got to be a contextual kind of framework so that you can hold all the actions inside of an inspiring vision. The step 2 is to pick a timeline, like by when will this be real? So if it's, vitality and aliveness and the goal inside of your vision is to run a marathon, fine. Concrete dates, make it real. So by November of, the next year, I'm going to run the New York City Marathon. You need the concrete dates for your brain, like the finish line, for your brain to be able to ignite into that mode of fulfillment versus survival. Without a timeline, you're just daydreaming. It's like a someday I'm going to do this, later I'm going to do this. Those aren't real dates. The step 3 is to work backwards. So you identify the milestones and the deadlines and then the weekly actions. So you go backwards. I would say if it's a year from now, go back every 3 months. When you get 3 months out, then do a month at a time. And then when you get a month out, you want to start dealing with the minutia, the actual actions. So if you're doing a retreat 12 months from now, when do you need to book the venue? 6 months out. So when do you need to launch registration? 4 months out. When do you need to start building your email list? That would be yesterday, right? Although yesterday is not a real day either. It's just today. Step 4 is you got to put those actions in your calendar, not as concepts, but as actual appointments. Like I am going to make a list of 50 people on Friday at 1:00. If it isn't actionable and clear, then, if you have work on the retreat in your calendar, it's conceptual and you will be sitting there going, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing during this time. Vision without scheduled action remains like a wish or a fantasy. And these aren't like suggestions or good ideas. These are appointments where you are fulfilling on your future now in your calendar. Step 5 is you got to update this weekly because it's got to be etched in sand. It's a living, breathing plan, not like a rigid, fixed plan. So there's flexibility within the structure, not like chaos disguised as adaptability. That's not what I mean. You're not like changing the destination every 2 seconds because of your self doubt. You're adjusting the route based on what results you're producing along the way and what you learn. Because research shows that our motivation is highest at the start or the near the end of the project. So backwards planning gives you the end right there, a finish line, ready to attain, as well as the beginning. So you're always within the first 4 weeks of the project when you're doing the action plan and revising it at least every week. So you get to be at the beginning and the end all at the same time. And here's the key: backwards planning allows for efficient allocation of resources. You're not wondering what you need. You've designed it and you get to see what's missing in terms of structures or systems or automations or team members, even. You get to align each step of the way with the milestones that you've designed. So it reduces the time spent on non essential tasks because you are already prioritizing the actions that will directly contribute to fulfilling on what you're fulfilling on within that year or within the 6 months or 3 months. So if you're a 6 or 7 figure entrepreneur who has achieved financial success, but you feel trapped, you feel in reactive or survival mode, I work with ambitious leaders just like you to transform overwhelmed managers into visionary, empowered leaders. So click the link and learn more about my high performance coaching. We could get on a quick discovery call and see if there's a match for you, if it would make sense for us to work together. But moving from reactive manager to visionary leader is a critical move. And here's a question that will change everything for you. Am I reacting to the day or am I creating the week? Just put that up on a post-it. Am I reacting to the day or am I creating the week? When you plan backwards, you are moving from being at the mercy of your circumstances, of people coming at you with requests or life coming at you versus being the architect of your future. You stop managing the present and start designing your destiny. This is really what separates leaders from managers. Managers react to what's in front of them, and that's want somebody to be able to manage things. But leaders create from what's next, from what hasn't been seen yet. And here's the beautiful part about this approach: it allows for comprehensive analysis of the potential pitfalls and challenges, which actually facilitate being proactive about the risk mitigation, which is really exciting because you can see where it's going to break down. If you don't have somebody in this position to help you with marketing of this thing, you don't have enough hours in the day. So you start to see what's missing in terms of potential actions, potential team members, potential structures. So instead of being blindsided by obstacles, you actually see them coming from the future and you get to plan around them and for them instead of having to react to them like whack-a-mole. I had another client who wanted to scale her consulting business to 7 figures. And when she was planning, from today, she kept getting stuck on like the immediate problems, cash flow, team issues, client demands, her schedule. But when we planned from the future of being 7 figures out there a year from now, and we went backwards to see exactly what systems needed to be in place, what team members she was missing and needed to hire, what revenue milestones she needed to hit each quarter and then each month, the whole thing became doable. The compound effect of this approach is actually extraordinary. You're not just solving today's problems, you're actually preventing tomorrow's crises. It's where ease comes from. You've discovered that feeling busy and unfulfilled isn't a character flaw, it's a planning problem. So that's something you can learn. Backwards planning transforms you from a reactive manager to a visionary leader, starting with your fulfilled future and then working backwards to today. That's what it is to design and fulfill your life. When you implement this framework, you will stop being at the mercy of your inbox, your mood, your drama, other people's dramas, and you will become the designer, not only of your future, but of the path that gets you there. Now that you understand how backwards planning can completely transform you and your experience of what you're fulfilling on, shift you from survival mode to creation mode, You need to implement it, okay? Knowledge without action is kind of useless. So if you want to develop your ability to design and fulfill, you may want to hop on a call with me to see if I have something, an offering that would be a good match for you. So click on the link to schedule a chat and we can explore together. And if you want to keep diving deeper into what it takes to live a life by design instead of default, click on the next video.